Thank you all for your patience. Appreciate that. Right before we recessed, Mr. Gravitt asked if we could go ahead and deal with the request of Walgreens, since the manager from Walgreens is here. Yes, sir, if you would come forward, please. All right, and we have the documentation from when you appeared before the beer board. And so it is now upon the council to decide whether to grant or deny the various requests. I did have a chance, as Mike alluded to earlier, I had a chance to speak with the pastor, and he explained to me that obviously if he had his druthers, we would not grant the request, and that's fine. At the same time, I think he has an understanding of this is a Walgreens. It's not a bar. It's not a place where people are going to be walking and drunk. Like I said, we had a good conversation for probably 15 or 20 minutes. And so that's, just wanted to give you all that information. I always like to get input from people who are close to the situation, or as I mentioned before, technically the offended parties, whoever the variance would theoretically affect the most. So, gentlemen, if we have a motion one way or the other, feel free to lay it out. Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Do you have any comments or questions?
In my opinion, if someone really was adamantly opposed to this, I think they would come down here and present themselves and make the argument before us. So I feel pretty comfortable seeing that they have not.
Have any other comments or questions? Okay, we can have the roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Well, what the mayor said here, that the guy don't care either way, so I'm gonna vote yes.
Councilmember Stoll.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
And another thing, that's not, Walgreens is not a place somebody just goes and buys some beer. It's probably an afterthought, just walk by. Say, just one, I'm gonna go out. It's not,
Not going to be
street
any business. It's not hard. And truthfully, I was on the council in 2009 or 2010 when the current distance requirement was changed. And it was 125 feet. It was lengthened to 250 feet. Hindsight, probably should have been done. I mean, if you think about it, if a Publix wanted to come in and build next to a church, Publix is going to want to sell beer. Walmart's going to want to sell beer. They're not going to serve it, obviously, but they're going to want to sell it. And this, I think, was almost 200 feet, 180, something like that. I think, with all that said, I think maybe we need to look at the distance requirement again. Maybe we take it back to where it was. And I just, again, I have a hard time thinking that we're going to tell a Walgreens or if you name the store, no, we don't want you here. Essentially, we're not going to allow you to sell a product that you can sell just about anywhere else. I don't think that's very smart.
Yeah, I know Jack Hunt, and I've known him for several years. One of your pharmacist down there, and I know his dad too, but, that store is, correct me if I'm wrong, is one of your all's busiest stores.
Well, actually, Jack Money's was the pharmacy manager at the 24-hour location on McBride.
Yeah.
He did step down from his current manager position, and he actually did work at my store for a little while. But as well, like I said, I've known Jack Money for over 10 years, because I worked at the other location too in my previous career.
Walgreens is a tremendous asset to the community, at least I think so.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's it. I appreciate your time. Thank you. All right, then, we're going to backtrack. That was technically item B. We had already dealt with item C earlier. We'll go to A, ordinance number 1007. This had been tabled the last time, so if we're going to deal with it, we will need to remove it from the table.
Make a motion to move it from the table.
Second. We have a motion and a second to remove this item from the table. Yes, sir. If you would. Thank you.
Ordinance number 1007, an ordinance of the City of Newport, Tennessee, amending Title IV municipal personnel by deleting sections 4-245, Step 4, and 4-246 in their entirety, here on first reading table from March 31st.
Mr. Cagle made the motion. Is that right? And Mr. Sullivan made the second. To remove from the table.
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Yes, sir.
you know, having this personnel board, and I think I was on it for 2 years, and agreed, I don't know that we ever met. I don't believe we did. We did become involved with one employee dispute. That being said, we did not actually meet. This personnel board doesn't cost the city anything. I don't really see the harm in keeping it. That's just my thoughts.
I don't have a problem looking at, replacing it with something. We've had a couple of suggestions tonight, and I would have no problem exploring that possibility. I think in its current form, though, someone described it earlier. Pretty accurately.
I've actually tried to get some employees to go to it, and they wouldn't do it. I don't know what the reason was.
I think Ms. Pope described it as kind of useless right now. Not the people that obviously are serving, but the function is, there's ultimately all that this board can do is say, yes, we agree with the city manager, or no, we don't agree with it. And if the city manager, even if they disagree with it, there's nothing binding on the city manager to do anything differently than what he's already done.
That's true, but certainly, even though the fact that it is advisory from a litigation standpoint, to me, I think it would be compelling if I was a city manager that I would have, for example, this board that backed me up on determination. But certainly think it needs to be modified in its current state. But again, from a litigation standpoint, it's certainly not wrong.
Yes, sir.
Well, I was one of the first ones to talk up about the adoption thing. Well, during that time that I was on the board, I asked for a copy of what I'm finally getting now sitting up here. So since I have read this thing, the board can do a lot on the small grievances. And then it comes back to the city manager, and he's got things that can't be put to the grievance board, to the personnel board, so I would
let's, if we can, go ahead and take it off the table. We do have a motion in a second. So, let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll entertain a motion to do whatever with the actual personnel board. Janet, if we can have the roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Stoll.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Mayor,
Uh-huh.
before we actually do the vote on this, what are we gonna do about ordinance number 656? And it's got an entirely different set of procedure than the one we're trying to pass. Now, it goes back to every other year like our Board of Regents vote. So we need to delete the 656 ordinance. We won't have two here. Because it's concerning the first personnel board.
When this personnel board, the current one, was adopted, did we include any language that would,
Referred to 656.
that would essentially remove anything?
Or rescinded, no.
Okay.
What I read, no. Yeah.
Could this thing be revised, like something the mayor did, I mean, like I say, I don't want to be about there to go into it, I mean, something like more useful or something
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you straight out, that it was kind of embarrassing for me to continue asking the person to serve on it
that,
when
mine's never been.
they've never met. You're gonna be on this board in name only, really. So it's a little bit embarrassing.
Well, that's what I feel about the library board, until I found out the other night that we had to do that, and said grants. I mean, that board was never
If we're going to do something with it, that's fine. I'm okay to keep it, to leave it in there. I just don't want it to stay in its current form. Because again, it just doesn't, in reality, serve a purpose.
The council then would need to determine whether the new legislation would be advisory, whether it would be, the board decision would be binding to override the city manager from the town, things like that. The configuration of the board, would you want to blend these two ordinances in there? And apparently at the time, back in 2010, when the current ordinance was adopted, there was no reference to the earlier one that established the person. That needs to be done.
Just a thought. Is there a way to mothball this board until we have a chance to really modify it?
Y'all can certainly delete it in its entirety right now and then start from scratch. Or you can let this continue until the council can enact something. It's your call. You want to go without one for a period of time, or do you want to have this up until the time the new one's adopted?
What if we could wait until we, call in the city manager, and see what his thoughts were? As far as, some way he may like, I mean, he may want something that, like, say, back him up, or
You're right. He may want an advisory. That may be some input that y'all need. He may want it binding.
Mayor, if I may, also, when this was put into effect, 2010, the city employees were at-will employees then also. So at that time, if they were at-will employees, they had no other options. I think that was another reason it was put into place. Now, no longer being at-will, they have to be fired or terminated, or disciplined for cause. I think if, me and Hal both have seen enough of that it takes a lot of cause just to get rid of somebody. Usually there's not a problem to get rid of themselves. It's something else to think about.
Well, we'll entertain a motion. If we want to do away with it, we can do that. If we want
I'll
to
make a motion, we mothball it, I guess, until we hire a city manager and get his thoughts on it. Go from there.
when you say mothball it, then you're talking about terminating. That's doing
Can
away
we-
with.
I was thinking more like make it inactive until such time as we can make changes to it to actually make it effective. Is there a way to do that?
Suspend the, well, if it's not doing anything anyway, it's probably a new
You don't
issue.
guys
You
like
can
it more?
suspend, use of that.
Place.
But you're gonna have to do that by ordinance, and that's gonna obviously take two separate meetings.
Now, are we, doing away with the one in 2010 or the one in 1998?
I'll withdraw on this.
Let me suggest, no harm, no foul. I mean, this hasn't been a significant pressing issue because, as I understand, the person on board has never met. So it would seem to me that there would be no problem continuing it in current status until the council can decide specifically what they want to do and how they want to modify it. So, it's broad.
Can we leave it unmanned, essentially? I mean, I'm gonna have to go back to this person in my appointee and say, hey, would you like to serve potentially for a couple more months on a board that really doesn't exist?
Those appointments are made yearly, so should be made
According to that ordinance. For every 2 years for one.
And again, therein lies the problem, the underlying problem that I've mentioned multiple times of properly having these things indexed. Because as I understand, perhaps Councilman Cagle came across that and we didn't know it existed otherwise. And apparently in 2010, they didn't remember.
All right, well, yeah, I mean, theoretically, we could just pull this from the agenda. I mean, there would be, at that point, we
Or vote it down.
Motion to table.
Could we, leave this ordinance 107 in there? And when it comes up, leave the first couple of sentences and then saying about deleting sections. Whatever this, the ordinance number 656 is, and we could go ahead and do away with that one.
So like going ahead and voting to delete the sections that I've designated.
Well, this, deleting ordinance number 656 and getting that one come off the books.
I think there's another issue, because obviously the only thing before the council today is deleting in its entirety ordinance 107. I think that needs to be dealt with another time, specifically designated as deleting 656. So when we did this the first time, I wasn't aware, anybody else was, 656 existed.
So if we delete this to its entirety, will this still leave 656 in compliance?
Because I specifically set out the provisions of what I understood to be personnel.
well, let's, if council's agreeable, let's entertain a motion to, deny ordinance number 1007. And that will do away with the issue for now. And we can pick it up at a future date. Obviously, there's a lot of things we have to look at. How do we reconcile 656 and this, and the current personnel board ordinance?
Of course, the new one needs to supplant both of them, 656 and 107.
Right.
The council just needs to decide how they want to proceed with the new.
discussion on another personnel.
I think there'll have to be, to get the two different personnel boards resolved, to get that issue settled. So at this point, we can just simply deny ordinance number 1007. I'll float that out there. We have a motion and a second to deny ordinance 1007. It was Larry. I made the motion, I'm sorry.
When you say denied, that means we're going to delete.
Denying just means we're not going to change it. We're going to leave it just the way it is. Right. So, any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Stoll.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. All right, item D is the next item. And this is board appointees. I have spoken with Ruth Brawley. She would like to continue serving on the Industrial Development Board. So I'd like to reappoint her. For whatever the appropriate term is. 2, 4, and 6 years, is that right? I think she was one of those that was 2 years. We had 2 that were 2 years, 2 that were 4, and 3 that were 6, or something like that. Just to keep them staggered, so that every 2 years, someone theoretically rolls off the board. Was there 4? Okay. Okay. If I could get a motion in a second on my appointee, just to.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion in a second.
I have one question.
Yes,
If
sir.
she resumed her spot, or do they have to revote?
I think they probably have to revote. They'll probably choose new officers, or if they turn that. I think it was created, I don't even remember the month it was created. So it, May or June, we revived the Industrial Development Board. So, yeah, they would be due to select new officers anyway, in June, so I think everything will, timing-wise, will work out well. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Stoll.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
if I
sir.
may, are you finished?
Yes.
My library board appointee is Pete Wingate.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Stoll.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. All right, we move to items of new business. We have 2 grant applications on the grant consent agenda. That would be Resolution 2555 and Resolution 2556.
Motion to approve.
Second. Have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Stoll.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. All right, item B, Resolution 2557.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, approving the creation of a volunteer network program in the City of East Ridge.
And if you wouldn't mind coming forward, and we can get a little more information.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. In your packets, gentlemen, you'll have an information sheet. This is something that I came up with. Of course, I want to have a community meeting to kind of get more, collaboration. If you all have ideas, if other staff member has ideas. I came up with an acronym COIN for Community Outreach Initiative Network because the COIN has two sides. We've discovered that there's two main demographics that really need attention here in the city, which is our youth and our elderly. What I want to do is create a database network of all different kinds of organizations or individuals that want to devote either talent, time, facilities, or funds to addressing these two different demographics. What I want to do first, and what I'm asking you all, gentlemen, to do tonight with the resolution is to, by creating this group, this organization, wanting to step forward and have a community meeting. And I'd like to try to do that before school's out because one of the groups that I'd like to reach out to, especially is our high school. I do get a lot of volunteer from the JROTC with Colonel Irving. He's been great at when we've needed volunteers to provide some of those with his students. So I do want to try to reach out to our school groups to see if there's any clubs that may want to join in. Also with church groups, scout groups, businesses, or even individuals. I've had individuals come up to me and say, hey, that's a great idea, I'd like to participate. So with this community meeting, it's kind of reminiscent, if you remember, Energize East Ridge, when they broke out into different groups to decide, okay, we want to live, work, and play in East Ridge. What are the things that we need? So that's what we wanted to establish for the Times, talent, facilities, and funds. I did talk to Kenny Custer. When we were discussing this, he was really excited. There's somebody that can donate a building, which is just right down here near the old Ryans, that can do after-school programs. They're already doing something similar to that. Well, we can help advertise that for them. That's what the network's going to be. Some of the things that I thought we could focus on, and this is just thoughts on my head, I'm sure there's other thoughts that you may have. With the youth, there's homework help, after-school care, summer and school break programs, trying to find things for our youth to do when they're not in school, like on the summer breaks, spring breaks, the weekends, when parents are working. Also, I was talking to a friend of mine, a lady that she works with. Her youth is having trouble, so someone that could be a mentor, like a Big Brothers Big Sisters program. So there's all kinds of need for our youth. Also for our elderly, we do hear a lot of them needing help with, I know there's a lot of them that don't have enough funds. They're talking about fixed income. Well, there's some things that they need, like lawn care, cleaning their house, painting their house, just someone to sit with them, things like that. I'm sure that we do have residents that would say, hey, I wouldn't mind going to sit with an elderly neighbor or, whatever. So we're the glue to bring everyone together for this purpose. So, and we can also benefit too with having walking dogs for the animal shelter, dog cleaning at the park. We could do litter pickup. Just like in the neighborhoods, we could have different neighborhood groups getting together and cleaning neighborhoods, like Mr. Baker said, when they get trashed over at Frawley or in those areas. So things that the community can help with too, community projects. And also creating a food bank. That's something that I've heard people say that they would like to have. So different things that we want to start doing here in East Ridge. This is just a starting point.
Yes, sir.
I noticed in here that she's going to be asking for monetary funds.
No, I'm not asking for any monetary funds.
We passed this resolution 2557, you are.
No, this would not be, I'm not asking for anything. This is just to get people together that can donate stuff to us. So if there's something that we may want to do, sure, in the future, we can come back to you and talk to you about donating something. But right now, no, I'm not asking for anything right now.
These are gonna all be volunteers.
That's what we're looking for, all volunteers.
You're gonna be on the staff.
I'll do
You're gonna be
my
the liaison between them and us.
That's what I'm hoping for, or if, interim city manager decides to appoint someone else, I'm just trying to start the wheel going. This is just an idea I had in my head thinking, you know, I keep hearing at all the different council meetings, there's all these needs. It'd be good to just kind of have everyone together at the same plate, on the same team, doing the same thing, instead of someone over here doing something, someone over there doing something.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. You know, we did have East Ridge revitalization out here, and we did have, the East Ridge Merchants Association out here as well. You know, one of the issues is always you have the same people doing the same thing all the time, and it's, you know, it gets to the point that it's hard to attract other people in. I would just like to encourage the citizens of East Ridge to try to participate in this. And I don't see a downside of trying it.
Exactly. Vice Mayor, that's what I was thinking is, it doesn't hurt to try. I know it's been tried before, but it never hurts to keep trying.
Keep trying. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. We have the roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Stoll.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen, and here in the next couple of weeks, I'll put together a community meeting and you'll all be invited.
Thank you. Next item is item C, resolution 2558. And this is one that Mike had mentioned earlier. He requested that we table this. Apparently the Elks Lodge has to vote twice on something, I guess, kind of like we do when we're passing an ordinance, in order to finalize the donation. So if we can wait, can we?
Make a motion to table.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to table item C. We can roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Stoll.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. Item D, resolution 2559.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, terminating the parking lot space use permit with Pipe and Light Shows Inc. by mutual agreement.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Stoll.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. Item E is a resolution I asked to be on here. We've got a few little verbiage things that we're going to work out, so I would I'll make a motion to table this until the next time.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to table. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Stoll.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
garbage,
Yes.
let me find it here where I read that. You got a date on here. December 2015.
Yes, sir.
Anything that brings us a degree after December 2015. They got one in January.
Yes, that would be, if they work for the city and they meet the requirements.
Well, I'd like to,
I mean, if
you
we
see that change, that they couldn't be starting on the degrees after December 2015. Instead of already got it in January, and then we're gonna pass this today to give them the raise.
Well, and that's, full disclosure, I don't think anyone has done that. I don't think anyone has earned their degree while being a city employee since December. So there was no intent to do that, but certainly we can change that date.
I like to see it to read that they start their degree tried after December of 2015.
Okay, and that's fine, or we can just make this effective the day we pass it.
When you say start their degree, you mean when they first start school?
Yes, sir.
So they could.
Well,
No, it's two times.
part of-
Two different things.
part of what I would like to see, I mean, if someone has earned
Now, you get a degree in 2 years.
right, I mean, if someone out there has earned, if one of our employees has earned 115 credit hours, and they need 15 more to graduate, yeah, what I would like to do is have this, encourage them to go ahead and do it, you know, get your degree. And you'll be,
So that would take 50 more hours, to take probably another year.
yeah, you could potentially do it in half a year, a semester, if you went full-time, 15 hours. But that would, more than likely, for someone working full-time, it would be a year, yeah.
Watch it, December, starting. In other words, I don't want to come in next month, so I've got my degree.
Right. How about, well, we could look at that, if we could work out a graduation date. If they receive their degree a certain point of time, they would be eligible. Before that, they would not be. Because basically, I wouldn't want to require someone to start from scratch, right now. Okay, so you've got 130 credit hours before you can get this, you've got to go back to school.
But I'm talking about 15 hours you said about completing.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I think so. Let's think on that and try to come up with a date that we feel good about. Because really, you know, what I would like to do is have this be an encouragement to employees who may have some college but didn't finish, to go ahead and finish. Ultimately, this ties in, the Chattanooga Regional Talent Dividend is an effort to try to get people to earn degrees. It goes hand in hand with Governor Haslam's Tennessee Reconnect, where you're trying to get adult learners to get back in school to finish their degree. So there's a goal out there that we want to have so many degree holders by, there you go. And the only way that's ever going to happen is if we get a lot of adult learners to go back and finish their degree.
since you mentioned Governor Haslam, I sat and heard that same lecture, and he mentioned that students that, first I thought he was talking about graduates as of today or last year. Now he's talking about if you graduated 3 years ago, if that money is still eligible for you to go back to get the free money, to go back to school as long as you're going to Texas.
If I may.
Go ahead.
It's tied into the Tennessee Reconnect, and you had to have attended, you have to have a minimum, I think, of 30 hours, a minimum of 30 hours, and then, you know, you didn't proceed because of something that happened in your life, and then 5 or 10 years later, you want to go back, then the Tennessee Reconnect is the program to help you, not the whole scholarship or anything else.
See, I thought I understood that, say they graduated, if they couldn't go to school at that time, and then when they're 3 or 4 years down the road, then they can go back and apply for that. For free, as long as it's taken.
Yeah,
It could be.
Tennessee Reconnect.
Yeah,
They can earn an associate's degree through Tennessee Reconnect.
Okay, now, all right, now, since he mentioned that,
Cut out the weeds.
so, this goes back to the reimbursement. Okay, since Tennessee is paying free, but I think we need to check on the reimbursement of our employees not being able to get reimbursed from us and being paid free by the state.
Well, certainly, we could add that caveat to the reimbursement program, that if you take advantage of this state program, that you are not eligible for tuition reimbursement from the city.
It's got in it right now, it's pretty low.
Yeah, no, absolutely, we can. something also I asked for the last time. And that would be a pay increase for Ms. Walls for the work that she has done since essentially stepping into to fulfill the duties of the city treasurer. If you all have other thoughts, feel free to throw them out there.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, Ms. Walsh, don't take it personally. Did you receive a pay raise two years ago, 3 years ago, outside of the normal employee pay raise? For some reason, I'm thinking in the back of my mind that you did.
She got somebody taken away from her.
No.
No, we didn't.
I think after I first came, I had a waiting period, and then I received a pay increase. That was within the first year.
I think it was.
Since then, I've got the same
probationary.
raise everybody else gets.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking about then. I guess it's been longer than 2 or 3 years ago.
So, go ahead and check it, sir.
I don't have any idea why she thinks that you wanted to take the money out of the treasury.
Right, what had been designated for the city treasurer.
Right, what was he making?
He was making 60.
61,000, I believe.
But he had a
He
master's or bachelor's in accounting or some other related field. Correct.
He had a master's, I think in maybe in public administration.
What does it state in our requirements for that position? Though that's what I'm trying to get at. And does,
Well,
again,
yeah, my thinking here, follow my logic here. Mike stepped in to be the city manager. Literally, he says. So, we agreed to pay him an extra $1,000 a month, I believe, which I'm sure there are many days you go home and say, I accepted this for what? But, I would, Diane has essentially done the same in the city treasurer's spot. She's had to sift through all the board of regents stuff and get all that turned in last year. So for the time that we do not have a city treasurer and that she is taking those duties on, I would like to say this may not be enough, I don't know, but I'd like to see maybe $500 a month.
What's our current salary now?
40.
52, 53. No, I think I'm like 53. I would have to look.
So,
You're going to give her 6,000.
for the time that she's filling the position of the city treasurer, essentially. She's not called the city treasurer, but she's doing the work that the city treasurer did.
In other words, what you're saying is then, the city treasurer's job is still on the books. If we ever decide to hire a city treasurer, then she goes back to 53.
I think so. We've done this before when Eddie Phillips has stepped in to be the city manager.
But back then we called it bonus.
Well, we provided supplemental pay to, for taking on the added duties. And so, like I said, I think, again, for the time that she's done it, and will continue to do it, I think it's fair. But again, that's just me. If we want to talk about a different figure, then we can do that. And I'm sorry, I know this is probably not the most comfortable thing for Diane to sit here and listen to.
I'd like a motion to approve.
Yeah, certainly if you if you would like to not be a part of this,
It really don't matter, because you're here to take part.
I made a motion to approve.
okay, so we have a motion to approve the 500 a month. I'll second that.
And just for clarification purposes, for it to, when we do hire a city treasurer, which I anticipate that we will, that the pay will revert back to our present salary.
It will. And if, let's run through a hypothetical scenario here. If during the budget process here in the next 2 months, we vote on a raise for city employees, I think that raise should be based on
53.
the 53. Right. It should not include the supplemental money, if you will. So that she still gets that raise, what she would get if she wasn't doing this. But again, she gets the extra for as long as she's doing the city treasurer's job.
Mr. Interim City Manager, you got any input into this discussion?
I do.
Let me, before Mike answers that, let me ask to make sure there's no misunderstanding. Is your motion for a prospective raise or retroactive to the time that you got operated as de facto city treasurer?
Larry, you made the motion. My intention was for it to be retroactive.
Which would be to what? Somebody's been pointing.
That would be, he left late September, September 20th, 26th, something like that. So it'd be October, November, December, 6 months. We're in our 7th month, something like that.
That's your motion?
And she gets no overtime.
Right, I don't believe so. I think she's your salary, so yeah, she gets it.
Okay.
Yes, sir,
Does
I'm
she
sorry.
get next time?
No, I don't get comp time, I take my
You
leave
don't
time.
get comp time.
No,
I come in here, someone is at
I would,
6:30,
I would,
she's here working.
I would definitely offer her flex time or comp time in the position that she's in. I think she had done so much for this city in the past year, even with that left. I can't praise Diane enough for what she's done. And I think all of you ought to be very proud of her for the job that she's done, as well as what she's done with the board region. Without Diane, I don't think that we would have finalized that, but we have. And I think that has saved the city many thousands of dollars. And it's really set the foundation for our future. And I think Diane has been a great big part of that. I can't praise her enough. As far as giving her that raise, that's completely up to y'all. I don't think that even when you hire a city treasurer, you should take that money back away from her. I think she has more than earned that money.
This
That's
is,
$6,000 a year.
Jason, when we had a meeting with EMP, I prayed for what she was doing, and he suggested we did not hire a treasurer. She could have a job with our city planner. So while I've got an eye with our city manager, I'm probably gonna bring up to you guys think about it. This guy here needs a little bonus for that to take over office. I know we give him a little raise, but then
Hazard pay.
What do you think?
Are you trying to say it should be hazard pay?
hazard pay. I've got all kind of hate email from somebody, I don't know who it's from.
Well, so the motion and second is to provide an additional $500 a month retroactively for the time that Ms. Walls has served essentially in the role of city treasurer, which is, again, this, I believe, is the 7th month she's done
Does the motion then address also what happens if and when a city treasurer is hired? Well, you mentioned financial step back.
Personally, I'm not voting to hire a new treasurer. Second.
I think for the sake of this conversation, let's say if we hire a new city treasurer, that she would revert back to her, what is today her salary. Again, if we hire a new city treasurer.
You made your motion then?
We'll leave it the way it is.
Because your motion doesn't address that one. That clarification, second still.
I withdraw my motion.
What's that?
I withdraw my motion. Last week,
Hold on. I mean, if you're gonna withdraw the motion, I will withdraw the second. And I think regardless of what happens whether we hire a new city treasurer or not, for the work that's being done, Ms. Qualls deserves compensation.
Yeah,
And so,
let's just take the future hiring of the city treasurer out of the equation.
and,
At least I think.
and while she is serving essentially in the role of the city treasurer, that she will get $500 a month additional on top of what she currently makes. Retroactive, yes, to the time that she assumed those duties.
Any motion?
That's the motion.
I don't, however, I think because of our job qualifications, and Ms. Qualls, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that with the educational requirements we put in there for a city treasurer, and you may or may not meet those qualifications, I don't know, but we are not giving her the title.
Correct.
Correct.
Correct. We're giving,
Okay.
that's right. We are not naming her the city treasurer.
Okay.
We are paying her for assuming the duties of the city treasurer.
Did the new girl that they put back in office, did she get a pay raise?
I have no idea.
No.
No, sir, her pay is not changed.
But I will make that motion again. We have a second. Comments or questions? I will do that, yes. That Ms. Qualls is paid $500 a month retroactively for assuming the duties of the city treasurer. And for as long as she continues to do that, serve in that role, that she will continue to be paid the $500 extra per month. Retroactive to the time she assumed the duties, which you'll have to check that. It's exact departure date is September 20 something.
Future hires going into the administration.
That could, as far as new positions,
Yes, sir.
that will be something that we certainly can look at as we get into the budget process. If we feel like there's additional staff needed, we can add positions. All right, if there's nothing else, roll call, please.
Councilmember Bradley?
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle?
Yes.
Councilmember Stoll?
Yes.
Mayor Lambert?
Yes.
And I just want to say one thing. sure that we still get the sales tax from the rave and the fireworks store, and please double check on that we're getting it, not the city of Chester.
All right. Thank you all for being here tonight. We did have one last thing that we didn't mention. I should have, but I thought you might. Sorry.
You will come up real quick.
Oh, picture.
Is that the one you talked about?
One thing,
The email I sent to you. I can tell you what the two things are. Both these have to do with the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. April is Distracted Driving Awareness Month, and part of the campaign is thumbs down to texting and driving. What I wanted to do was get a picture of the council and Mr. Williams. With a thumbs down, we will give that in a press release that the city council endorses thumbs down to distracted driving as well, or texting and driving. That was one. The other is the SAFE campaign that we are currently involved in, again with THSO, is seatbelts are for everyone. We have increased enforcement, and the officers are doing a really outstanding job with that. But next week, we're getting the use of a thing called the condenser, and it's basically a device that allows the participant to experience a 5 to 10 mile an hour crash, so they can see the effectiveness of a seatbelt. We had originally planned to do that as part of an event that we were doing at the high school. We had to move that event, but the convention was already reserved, so the plan is to bring it here in the parking lot of the community center next Thursday from 9 to 12, and allow citizens to come and experience that. They have to sign a waiver, but then I just wanted to bring that up so that it could be put out to the media so that the citizens be aware of it. Those are the two things.
Well, also, if I may, a couple of weeks ago over in Nashville, we passed a texting bill that is going to substantially increase the penalties for texting. In addition to an increase in fine, you're going to get 4 points docked off your license.
Effective July 1st.
Look at this.
One other thing, certainly we can do the photo. I don't know that there's going to be any objection to that.
I don't know how I feel about standing there going. I mean, that might be, you know.
Caption is everything, Mr.
That's
Gray.
right. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question for you.
Yes.
I noticed there's I call it a mine truck. The last piece of equipment got hauled in there on the back of the wrecker or
Oh,
big
Lord,
truck.
what? Yes, sir.
When was that donated to us?
Was part of the LISO program. We actually were awarded that late last month.
I thought we'd accept any donation like that from the council.
that type of donation does not have to come from the council because it's from the military. The council approved that several years ago. Any type of grants that come through the military like that for law enforcement, we can apply for them and receive them at any time.
What's the weight of that vehicle?
I'm sorry?
What's the weight?
The weight, well, I got two different pieces of information on that. One was 38,000 pounds, the other was 43,000 pounds. But I think it's closer to the 38,000. We didn't run on the scales, but the bill of lading from the trucking company, I believe.
I was just thinking about the condition of the roads out here. I thought it was heavier than
I don't know, it's,
I don't think we voted, or y'all voted on it. I don't have it in my notes. Resolution 25.
Yeah. We tabled it. Right.
Yeah. We did your roll call.
Oh, we did. That was the regional council that did.
I don't have it in my notes.
Okay, well, we can just, You go ahead.
It was a 4-0 vote, table, and all were in agreement. I don't recall who made the motion or second motion.
I made the motion, and I think Larry seconded.
No, Mark.
Mark, okay. Okay, but we didn't have the roll call, but well, let's, just to err on the side of safety, let's have the roll call vote now.
Councilmember Graham,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Stoll,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
Motion, Devin? Motion, oh, okay, go ahead.
You know that, later on, what you found out about our zip code, you said you were going to go for Postmaster General.
Well, I have, I've talked to, some folks at the federal level, in Washington, and they've provided good information, and I am following up with our local postmaster. So, there is a process that you can go through. It is a much easier process if your local postmaster has no problem with it. It is far more complicated if the local post office says, yes, this will cause us problems. So that's basically where we're at right now, but I hope to have additional information next time. We're closing in on it. So, getting closer. Last thing, I promise, this is the last thing. We anticipate Camp Jordan Parkway opening next week. Reopening. Yeah. We have, the last layer of pavement is being laid today and tomorrow. Striping should take place Monday, possibly into Tuesday. A walkthrough to inspect it on Wednesday. Hopefully the parkway is back open Thursday, Friday, something like that. So obviously a lot of excitement over that. I know folks who live in the Jordan Run area and a lot of folks who go to events and soccer practice and all the rest of Camp Jordan will be thrilled. And people who live on Trolley Road will be very happy as well.
Does that include the park side of the bridge?
Yes.
That's be done by UPL.
Right, and that may not be, that there's some repair work that has to be done there. The repair work may not be finished, but it should be open for traffic. And if they have to come back in and close a lane at a later time to fix that, then they'll do that. But the new road should be finished. So, yay. We're looking forward to phase 2. We'll have more information on that next time, I believe, as well. So, thank you all. Have a great evening. Appreciate your patience with